You are listening to the Well-Connected Twin Cities podcast. I'm your host, Cynthia Shockley, and I'm here to learn alongside you through meaningful conversations with health and wellness practitioners. This is your time to experience some mindset shifts, learn practical tips, and get excited about what is possible. We want you to own the power of choice in your personal well-being journey. Let's discover what's possible right here in our Twin Cities community. Hello, and welcome to the Well-Connected Twin Cities podcast. I'm your host, Cynthia Shockley, and today I'm interviewing Leah Chouinard. So in this conversation, Leah and I talk about her recent diagnosis of ADHD and how it's really been a clarifying and liberating experience for her. I was really drawn to her energy when she made a public announcement on Facebook about her diagnosis. And I just felt like it was such a refreshing take on the power of a diagnosis and all the ways that you can reframe something like ADHD. So I am really excited to have this conversation with her. Leah is a nationally board certified health and wellness coach, and she'll be graduating from the University of Minnesota with a master's degree in Integrative Health and Well-being Coaching in December 2023. Leah has had a lifelong interest in holistic well-being, which she was grateful to nurture through her undergraduate studies. She excels in her coursework in psychology, neuroscience, and nutrition. As a result of her lived experiences with multiple autoimmune diseases, as well as depression, anxiety, and ADHD, Leah is passionate about providing an empathetic, non-judgmental, and supportive space for individuals to share their story and design a lifestyle that supports their well-being. Outside of work and study, Leah enjoys spending time in nature, cooking plant-based meals, making music, and connecting with loved ones. And here we are with Leah Chouinard. Hello, Leah. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you, Cynthia?
I'm doing well. It's, a hot day, but I'm glad I got a little walk in with my dog before it got too hot.
Perfect. Way to beat the heat during a heat wave.
Yeah, I was like, she has not gotten a lot of movement in this week, so I'm going to try and take her out when it's cooler.
Well, good for you. Your dog's probably gotten more movement in than I have these days. So that's awesome.
Leah, I love just starting off our conversations because I know you've got a wonderful just story to share that people will be able to resonate with. But first, just on that human level, what's been that rose and thorn in your life, right? So something that you're struggling with or that's been bothering you, and then also something that's really going well. I would love to hear.
Yeah, thanks so much for posing the question. I want to say, although this episode is all about my story with ADHD, the thorn for me lately has been really figuring out how to manage my progressing rheumatoid arthritis. So I've been confronting a lot of joint pain and fatigue and some limitations and even more appointment chasing in that realm. So that does get me down. But there have been many roses in my life this summer, and I love summer. So I've just really been enjoying all of the socializing that comes with extra time outside, more flexibility in my friends and family members' schedules. And I have many friends' weddings that are on the horizon. So dress fittings, bachelorette parties, planning this and that, you name it. So yeah, good social time, good outdoor time, and just really, really loving everything that summer is in Minnesota.
I was going to say, you sound like a true Minnesotan. Everyone just really goes all out in the summertime. And especially after the pandemic, it feels like almost too much with how packed my schedule is.
Yeah, I feel that. It's like, where
like
do
the
I
contrast, woo.
Yep. It's go time. Like we pass 70 and it's time to do all of the things outside. Yeah, it's so
Exactly.
good.
But I'm sure, yeah, that's no good for rheumatoid arthritis. Just the heat, I know, isn't really great for that. So I'm sorry you're dealing with that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's something to balance, but
Back in the winter, I think it was January, around that New Year's time, everyone's posting their resolutions, etc. I actually saw on your Facebook, you posted this beautiful written piece, I would call it, right? It wasn't just a typical post, it was like really
Mm.
thoughtfully written. And it was titled 2022 Reflections, ADHD, and 2023 Goals.
Wow.
And I just had so much fun reading it because you were celebrating all of your wins, how you just got nationally board certified as a health and wellness coach, that you were gaining more confidence, feeling more self love, you had more capacity to love fearlessly. And you also shared your most freeing event, which was learning that you had ADHD. And that was such a surprising thing to for me to see someone really celebrating. And so can you share a little bit more about why that diagnosis of all things was your biggest thing to celebrate?
Wow. Yeah, it is such a complex answer, and it was a complex and beautiful realization because it helped me understand my life. My whole sense of self became clearer with the diagnosis of ADHD. And for example, really throughout my life, I've struggled with being late, feeling exhausted, struggling with habit formation, feeling so scattered despite being a very put together person. So I think I want to pause on that note right there. Throughout my lifetime, especially the older I've gotten, as I've become more independent, as I entered my young adult years, I started to notice a lot of mismatches between how I perceived myself and who I wanted to be, and internal ways that I was struggling with carrying out my day to day tasks and everything that I was doing. The diagnosis of ADHD finally helped explain why I procrastinate like a son of a gun, even though I value working ahead and doing high quality work. And it explained why I show up late to things that are important to me. And it also explained why I struggle to communicate with friends and family members who I care so deeply about, but leave their texts and their messages unread or never pick up the phone to call them. I'm excited to talk more with you today about my journey because realizing all of these, realizing that all of these traits of mine were large in part due to ADHD just gave me so much relief. I just was able to just let everything go and release a lot of shame and guilt and just confusion around why I couldn't do X, Y, and Z when I fully intended to. So yeah, it just really helped me come home to myself and forgive myself.
Hmm. Coming home to yourself and forgiving yourself. Oof. And I just think about how powerful that mindset is compared to the mindset people may have to an ADHD diagnosis of feeling shame or feeling fear. I remember my first experience with ADHD was with my brother, and my mom actually broke down and cried when he got diagnosed, and she just was so full of fear. And I was like, oh gosh, like ADHD must be terrible. It must be a terrible thing. And I think, maybe 8 years old at the time. And so it just feels so refreshing and empowering to be able to take the approach that you are of, oh, relief. This is actually explaining how my brain is functioning and explains why I'm doing all these things I might have had shame around before. And now I can release that shame.
Absolutely, Cynthia. And I appreciate you highlighting my positive reaction to getting diagnosed with ADHD because that was something I noticed in myself after the psychologist presented me with the formal diagnosis that she had concluded. I remember I went to use the restroom after that before I hit the road, and I just looked at myself in the mirror with the biggest smile and was like almost feeling like we did it. We figured it out. And that was because like I am thinking about the story you share of your brother and how your mom may have seen now a new set of struggles and hurdles to overcome. And I can only speak from my own experience, having been diagnosed at 25, where I had struggled day after day, year after year, in all settings with various ADHD symptoms that were just supremely distressing. I think distressing is just the best word to describe my struggle with ADHD. To finally know that there are tools I can use to navigate my world and do what I want to do, or laugh off some of the things that I've been doing instead of shaming myself, was just extremely helpful. And ever since then, I just keep learning more and more about ADHD and the way it impacts my life and other people's lives. And it's been eye-opening and helpful. I've been in the place of getting a diagnosis that's more negative and does feel more like impending doom, if you will. But this was one that really just unlocked a door for me that I've been able to step through, and I'm so grateful for that.
And I think a huge difference there is you knew that there were tools available and you knew, okay, now that I have this diagnosis, it explains things, and then I know there are resources and things available. Are you looking to take your healthcare career to the next level? Northwestern Health Sciences University is preparing the next generation of healthcare professionals to not only deliver, but also advance healthcare. Northwestern promotes innovative models of integrative care to lead people to live healthier and happier lives. They offer 11 academic programs, including their evidence-informed chiropractic program, health and wellness degrees including massage therapy, and both master's and doctorate degrees in acupuncture and Chinese medicine. Northwestern Health Sciences recently added 100% online programs with a master's in integrative care, a master's in functional nutrition, and a health coaching certificate. The faculty at Northwestern Health Sciences is focused on the success of their students, which could include you. Go to nwhealth.edu to learn about their academic programs and find upcoming in-person and virtual enrollment events. You actually you already just have so much positivity in you, but you've talked about enjoying the show. I'm putting air quotes, but it's actually real.
Yeah.
Enjoying the show of ADHD, which I absolutely love. Can you share with the audience what you mean by this and how you came across this concept?
Oh, Cynthia, I'd love to. During the pandemic, I, like many people, spent a lot of time home alone with myself. And I really got a front row seat to my life's journey. Yeah, just uninterrupted by anything else. And I noticed during those days that I was just scattered as all heck. And I would like to highlight my morning routines where I would wake up and I was like, all right, here we go, another day. And I would get started with my morning routine. Say, I would put some frozen fruit in the blender to make my smoothie. And then I would open up the drawer to take out my supplements. And I would take out the supplements and maybe I'd put them in the blender and I'd go, oh, shoot, I need to have my coffee or my matcha because I need that caffeine to hit. So then I'd switch gears and then off we were to the caffeine station in my kitchen. And then it was like, oh, and then there's that one person to reply to, or maybe I had something due for work at 9 a.m. that day. And before you know it, I have lights on in multiple rooms of my house. I have drawers open. There are items everywhere. And then I found the blender in my bathroom because I took the fruit upstairs with me accidentally while I thought I would go retrieve something that was on my bathroom counter. It's just, oh dear. And then you go back to one room and the item isn't there. So I laugh. So first, yes, let's acknowledge supremely distressing. Like, millions of brain tabs just exploded. They're open, everything's everywhere. And I'm just trying to get through the first hour of my day. And I'm just like storming around like a tornado. And honestly, it's hysterical to me. It is so funny. The blender in the bathroom, that's really funny. That doesn't go there. That doesn't go there, Leah. And there have just been so many other just oddball things that happen. And I think at some point, like, I can't help but laugh. And I think that's just been a really helpful thing for me coping with ADHD, is finding that genuine humor in this performance that ADHD just happens to be sometimes. Another example that I think of is the reputation that I have had for years of always leaving at least one item at any friend or family member's place where I spend the night. And again, forgetfulness and misplacing items is a common trait in people with ADHD. And having not suspected ADHD in myself until really just a year ago, it was just like, oh, Leah's forgetful. Oh, what's the game? Let's all look around the house and see what she forgot this time. So it was a playful hunt, if you will. But I think that also just plays into the whole enjoying the show that ADHD is, and just, yeah, laughing when you have to turn around the car and forget that thing that you left at home, and then moving on, because that's what you can do.
Oh, it's amazing what a difference it can make to just the community that you have around you. Because it sounds like you had a really just supportive community who was able to laugh alongside you and not make it a big deal, make it a game. And so I'd imagine that has influenced how you also then approach this show of ADHD.
Yeah, definitely. It's so funny because, of course, I've had many experiences that are, again, yeah, very distressing, where it's like I'm leaving for something important and I can't find, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's my laptop. It was under a stack of papers. Or, yeah, we'll do the classic car keys, not sure where I set them. And yeah, my family, especially my mom, has been so good throughout my life of just making sure, going through a checklist before I leave the door. And again, this is without knowing I had ADHD, but I'm also diabetic. So like her big thing was also like, yeah, do you have like sugar on? Do you have your phone? Do you have your keys? Do you have your lunch for work? Do you have your music if I'm heading off to a band rehearsal? Just really helping me with all of those things. But yeah, really, maybe I'm just surrounded by outstanding people, which is true. But yeah, no one has expressed noticeable amounts of upset with me for my ADHD symptoms. And really, everyone has been just so incredibly understanding and happy to learn, happy to help, and happy to laugh with me about things. And I think I help model that for people too. It's okay to chuckle at this.
Beautiful. We actually had an incident this morning. My husband has ADHD and he left for work. He's ready to go. He got to the office and then he lifted his backpack up and he's like, why is my backpack so light? And he opens it up and his laptop's not there. So
Okay.
I get a call while I'm at the dog park with my dog and so I'm heading back home. I'm like, why? And I didn't pack my laptop.
Leah, that's a hoot. That's such an excellent example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he
Oh,
asked his manager, he's, hey, I can come back home and then I'll drive right back. He's like, just work from home today. It's fine.
it's fine. This isn't a new thing.
Yeah, no
just,
worries.
just roll with it. That's so funny. It just makes me want to give a shout out to my dad at this moment too, because the number of times that man dropped my lunch off at school when I was growing up, even in high school, is way too high to count. Supportive family members for the win. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Well Connected exists to help you discover the practitioner that aligns with your values. We believe that finding the right fit should be simple and maybe even fun. When you visit wellconnectedtwincities.com, you can search for local practitioners by categories like chiropractic or herbalism, or you can search by condition or symptom in the directory to find practitioners of various healing modalities who can help. Discover over 100 local practitioners, browse articles, take classes, and listen to interviews by these very practitioners to learn who is the right fit for you. No matter what it is, we are here to help you say yes to the next stop on your healing journey. So I'm sure that there are many listeners who either have or know someone with ADHD. So for those who might not have your approach and they might be struggling with their ADHD diagnosis or really pushing against it, what are some words of wisdom that you have for those people?
It's a really great question, Cynthia, because I do know that despite the positives that have been revealed through my diagnosis, it can really feel like a barrier for a lot of people. So my advice to any of you who are struggling to come to terms with an ADHD diagnosis is, first of all, to embrace what you love about yourself for having ADHD. Even though there are a lot of downsides to having ADHD, that's so incredibly real, people with ADHD often have a lot of positive traits as well. So maybe you are a very dynamic storyteller. I'm bringing that up because I love to tell engaging stories and I like to act them out. And that's a very ADHD type trait. And that's something I've learned to love about myself instead of view as something that's taking up people's time or maybe oversharing. So I think a lot of people with ADHD also have an amazing sense of humor, and folks with ADHD are very creative. So I encourage you to lean into those things that you love and lean into those things that bring you joy. Another thing to mention about ADHD from like the more scientific perspective is that hyper focusing on something when you feel like, oh gosh, I really love this, or I really want to spend time doing that, those activities release dopamine in the brain. And that dopamine is what's going to make you feel balanced and make you feel happy and make you feel at ease. So just filling that cup of yours it's an act of kindness you can do for yourself. And I encourage you to have fun with it along the way instead of saying, oh no, I shouldn't be figuring out this new riff on the guitar, or no, I shouldn't go check out another new trail to hike. Just go for it. Just do it and love it and let your brain be fueled by that and let yourself be balanced. I think there are a lot of ways that we can fill our cups with ADHD. And I encourage you to not feel like you can't do something because you should be doing something else. Oh, I should be working. I should be doing the dishes. The dishes might be easier to do after you've gone out with friends or gone on that walk. Give yourself flexibility, do what you love, and love the traits about yourself that are either related or unrelated to ADHD.
Hearing that as someone who is married to someone with ADHD, it's actually lighting up some light bulbs for me because I'm just such a get things done right now kind of person. I'm like, here's my to-do list and I'm going to make sure I get everything done. And then I'll give my husband his to-do list and I'm like, all right, get this done by this time. And that just doesn't work for him. It just doesn't. And I think it really was a journey in understanding how ADHD affects him because I think he was a late diagnosis in college. And so he just coped and was able to get by and be fine. And he didn't, once he was diagnosed, it was more of a, haha, like I do have ADHD, but I don't think there was any pursuing of like how to navigate that or work with it. It was just, boom, I have a diagnosis, validated. This is why I am the way I am. And I actually started reading this book called The ADHD Effect on Marriage. It's by Melissa Orlov. Have you heard of this before?
I haven't, but it sounds deeply fascinating.
Yeah, my therapist friend, who also is a late diagnosis ADHD, she told me that I should read this because it really helped her just feel validated and seen and understood. It's a collection of all these stories from people with ADHD and people who are partnered with someone with ADHD. This woman, she started a blog actually just so that people can have a space to share their stories. And then she started doing research on it and wrote this book just to compile everything she's learned over the last 2 decades.
Amazing.
So just, yeah, super cool. I'm like highlighting along as I go so that then I can give it to my husband and he can read the highlighted parts.
Great spouse of an ADHDer.
I know we're like, all right, we're going
Awesome.
to work with this.
That is so great.
Yeah. So I know there are tools out there. For you, what do you think has been most helpful for you in navigating the world since your diagnosis that others might find helpful?
Another excellent question. And I don't know that I could, no matter how hard I tried, pinpoint one thing that has been most helpful, but I will name a couple things. I'm going to give proper attention to medication. I will admit that being very holistic, health minded, and having preferred other ways of treating my body over the years, that trying out pharmaceuticals is very intimidating and not preferred for me. But I struggled with ADHD so much that I was basically desperate for relief from this stressful lifestyle and always feeling behind. So I did opt to go on the lowest dose of an ADHD medication in the fall, and that has been massively helpful for me. It has somehow given me the sense of focus to get through tasks, whether it's that crazy morning routine. I'm not leaving drawers open every place anymore. I just have like more continuity in my day, and I can carry out my actions with more smoothness. And I've loved reflecting on treating myself with medication for ADHD, because something I noticed the very first day I took it was that I conversed with more ease. And that is so important to me because I work in youth ministry and I carry out many conversations in a day sometimes. And it's important to me because I want to be fully present when I am communicating with anybody and speaking with anybody. And somehow upping that dopamine level in the brain just a little bit has allowed me to stay engaged when I'm talking with people. It has allowed me to trip on my words much less. And as a listener, it's enabled me to capture more of what people are saying. And as someone who is a health coach and a compassionate friend and caring family member, and I just love connecting with people, it is so important to me that I can be present and respond to everything that someone is sharing with me. And I struggled with that for a while. This is one very brief tangent, but one reason why I sought out an ADHD diagnosis was because I noticed that I couldn't pay attention to what my clients were telling me when I was doing practice health coaching sessions during grad school. And I still did a great job, but it was challenging and I had to take notes pretty frantically. Yeah, just having medication help with that. That working memory has been just profoundly helpful, and it's allowed me to be more of who I want to be, which is that engaged and present friend and family member and coworker and coach. Again, I think because of medication, it's been easier for me to sit down and start things instead of do everything possible until opening up my laptop. Now I can open it and I can write the email or I can start the paper. It's taken the edge off of the intimidation that comes with starting something. And as I answer your question, Cynthia, I think I realize that's been the most helpful thing for me. A lot of things have been helpful, but wow.
Some people can have a lot of resistance to medication and feel like, oh, I could wrestle my way through. I can use all these tools, and you can. But then there's also just that very real chemical action that could be going on that's limiting you from being the person you want to be. And so to be able to just give you that little extra boost has already made such a huge difference in your life. And even if it was just the lowest possible dose, it sounds like it's made a significant change in how you can show up and play the roles that you want to play. So now that you are officially a nationally board certified health and wellness coach, congratulations.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, and almost done now with your master's in integrative health and well-being coaching. What is next for you?
My goodness. A great question and an exciting question. So, my honest answer is that I don't know my next steps at this moment, as I am very focused on getting through that final push before I graduate here in a few months. But I am eager to jump into the integrative health and wellness coaching field. I don't know exactly how that will look. I do anticipate that it will include health coaching one-on-one with clients, but I also have some other passions that have arose throughout my time in grad school that I might pursue as well. So I need to honestly just say, stay tuned, but I do look forward to moving into the holistic health and well-being coaching sphere.
I think your lived experience is going to be invaluable to future clients, especially those with ADHD or just neurodivergence in general, to be able to be seen and heard on just a deeper level since they know you've been through your own journey and you have such a positive and beautiful outlook on how to move forward. So excited for you to enter the professional space in the health and wellness coaching.
Thank you. I'm thrilled myself. I know we've got to stretch a time there, but I'm thrilled for what's on the other side.
Beautiful. And I know that you actually are taking some clients. So if listeners wanted to work with you or refer someone to you, how can they get in touch?
Yeah. So at this time and in summer of 2023, I don't have a business model set up, but I am offering my services to anyone who's interested in a session, just on a donate as you desire basis, I like to call it. So, yeah, we can meet for any amount of time. And I'll share my email with you at the moment, but you feel free to email me at CHOUI and then the numbers 025 at umn.edu. So feel free to shoot me a message and I would love to connect. As you mentioned, Cynthia, living through a condition really equips you to help others navigate that too. And at the same time, I understand that every person's experience with ADHD or any condition will differ vastly from my own, but maybe we can use the same tools and use similar approaches and reframe the way that you view ADHD and its impact on your life.
Exactly. And if there were one takeaway that listeners walked away from this conversation with, what would you hope that it was?
No matter where you're finding yourself on your ADHD journey, shower yourself with compassion. ADHD can make people feel really bad in a lot of ways. And there's no need to hold on to those feelings or those thoughts and let them overcome you, because at the end of the day, that's not who you are. That's ADHD telling you who you might be. Love yourself, give yourself grace, give yourself flexibility, rest, whatever self-compassion looks like to you. Just give yourself an abundance of it. That would be my wish for you.
Beautiful message, beautiful story, beautiful human being. Thank you so much, Leah, for your time today and for sharing your story.
Thank you, Cynthia. It's been such a delight to spend this time with you.
Thank you so much for listening to the Well-Connected Twin Cities podcast. Did you learn something new? Did you feel that spark of hope and excitement for what is possible? Because so much is possible. Tell us about it in a review on Apple Podcast. Not only would we absolutely love hearing from you, but these reviews help our ratings and help other curious minds like you find this resource. We are always better together. Thank you again, and see you next time.